I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's...
There's so much smoke in here. Hi. Are you the famous Lucas?
Hi, yes I am Lucas. Who's asking? And famous for what?
Well, I'm the author of the website you mentioned in your videos. So glad you found it of interest. And also impressed by the things you say. I saw the fire at the end, and decided to come here, hoping to be of some help. What happened, Lucas?
Oh well, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming and caring. You didn't mention your name, but I certainly know you. Whatever. May I call you Obi-Wan Kenobi? Or do you prefer Qui-Chong Kane? Did you hear that? It sounded like someone laughing.
Fine, Lucas. You're so funny. I like that. If you will, just call me Maestro.
Well, Maestro, I don't know what happened. I couldn't say that Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, or George Soros might be involved in this mess. I don't want to be called arrogant and pretentious for that too. At this moment, I just feel like the Baudelaire kids in Jim Carrey's movie, a series of unfortunate events. There they are again. I don't know where all those laughs come from. The truth is that everything got so weird. A short circuitry, and fire in the house, and my computer and social accounts were hacked.
Don't worry. I brought my team and stuff. So you can make another video right now. Lucas, whatever might have happened, the statements you've made in your videos are very important, and are deeply rooted back in time. More precisely in Germany. In the mid-16th century. I mean, the Protestant Reformation. So please, pay attention. Because this is something everyone should know. It started with the War of the Schmalkaldic League and its allies against Catholicism. A war that got twisted and discreetly continued until this century. Lutherans, Calvinists, Anglicans, and their allies started a military alliance called the Schmalkaldic League, intending to replace the Holy Roman Empire, led by the King Charles V. The Holy Roman Empire was weakened because of the conquest of America, the war against the Ottoman Empire, and its ally the King of France, and also the fight against the Schmalkaldic League, who took advantage of all that. Charles V financed his wars by stealing gold from Peru and the Aztec Empire, and enslaving and killing Africans and Native Americans. And their descendants have been forced to bow down and praise the symbols of the suffering and humiliation of their ancestors.
Wow! Maestro Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was impressive. It is not surprising that you could have inspired George Lucas for his movies. Please, let me add something. On all fronts, many scientists and artists were the protégés of those kings, and they openly endorsed their crimes and benefited themselves a lot.
Yes, that's right. The Holy Roman Empire also snatched the entire ancient knowledge legacy and attached it to Catholicism to gain authority. And all that fueled the resentment of the Protestants.
Okay, so all that ancient knowledge became a war objective for the Schmalkaldic League. And they gradually realized the urgent need to destroy its fundamentals.
And even after the fall of the Holy Roman Empire, the Catholic fundamentals remained intact. So they found allies in many religions and countries, and occupied many academic vital posts, and promoted everything that could weaken the Catholicism authority. And finally, by the 19th century, their fight had evolved into a mad, intellectual war. So, they openly introduced egotistic and delusional ideas on the creation of chaotic independent worlds, ruled by relativism.
I know where you're heading to. Non-Euclidean geometries. That started with Lobachevsky's pangeometry, later powered by Riemann, and ending with Lorentz, and of course Einstein, who considered Riemann a genius, and found his non-Euclidean ideas as an essential base for his general relativity theory.
That's pretty right. By the year 1830, Lobachevsky had introduced his hyperbolic geometry as independent from the traditional Euclidean geometry. He originally called it imaginary geometry. But it seems that after staring so much at it for years, it got life into his mind. So he decided to call it pangeometry. Just as Tom Hanks did with his volleyball in the movie Castaway, after a long time shipwrecked in the sea.
Okay. I know that non-Euclidean geometries do not fulfill some of Euclid's postulates.
Well, Lucas, this is where I must advance further in time to explain some preliminary examples, so you can understand the orchestrated manipulations with non-Euclidean geometries and the hidden dark goal behind all this. At the end of the 19th century, the Schmalkaldic League and its mighty allies began intense camouflaged propaganda in newspapers and radio to influence young people at schools and homes with fantastic entertaining stories. The most emblematic case is the Flatland story that aimed to generate empathy in people with the ideas of new worlds, chaos, and relativity.
Oh yeah, I know it. The story suggests imagining a one-dimensional world. A line where the inhabitants are points and see each other as points and couldn't see lines, areas, or volumes. Maestro, check this out. If we were compressed down to a single dimension, what would be the point of it all?
Fine, Lucas, I got it. Talking about a one-dimensional world may not be productive, but it is certainly not pointless.
Hey, those laughs again. Maestro Obi-Wan, I'm so glad you have a good sense of humor. Now can we talk about Flatland seriously?
Rhetorical question.
Well, the Flatland narrative also suggests a two-dimensional world, where its inhabitants are plain geometric figures and points. A flat world where everyone sees each other as lines or points.
Yes, that's it. And some people think they imagine such a narrative. But the reality is that doing their best abstraction, they can only see a point or line, always with space around it. That is, a point in a plane at a specific distance. So even in their imagination, the supposed one-dimensional world is actually a group of aligned points within the 3D space.
Flatland is the only story in the whole world where you cannot even imagine the narrative. So, relativistic theories demands so much faith from its readers. Much more than all the religions demanded in past times.
The 3D postulate, or axiom, is inevitably attached to any mathematical or geometrical abstraction, or any narrative you could imagine. So the independence of the worlds they mention is invalidated from the very beginning.
But someone could argue, this is just a matter of space restrictions. And as long as my space cannot be affected by anything outside its boundary, then my new world is truly independent.
More on the same. In your space restriction definition, you mention and admit the 3D space existence. So, there is no independence at all.
Okay, but why not let pass up a story that is similar to comics?
Very good question, Lucas. Because there's a dark objective hidden behind all this that we cannot overlook, and we'll talk about later.
So, now that we know the inevitability of the 3D axiom, can we talk about non-Euclidean geometries and Euclid's postulates?
Of course, Lucas. Remind Euclid's fifth postulate about parallel lines. Do you think all parallel lines meet at infinity? Or do they maintain their separation? Assuming they do not meet at infinity. Imagine three parallel lines, L1, L2, L3, side by side, in that order. Now draw an imaginary line from a point on L1 up to the end point of L2 at infinity. Then, the new line does not intersect L3. However, they are not parallel lines. Or are they? So, it's weird.
Right. On the other hand, assuming that they all meet at infinity is also weird, as if infinity was a point in nowhere. By the way, in the Cartesian system, infinity is not a point, but the whole space around it. And the parallel postulate is one of its fundamentals, and zero is a fixed point. René Descartes was the protégé of Queen Christina of Sweden, and served with the Protestant army. In other instances, he was Catholic. So, everything is fine with René Descartes, and wrong with Euclides.
That is how this shameful story went by. With obscure intentions. Now, let's look at other samples on manipulation. A tricky example is commonly shown in the literature. It's about a disc-shaped area that they consider an independent non-Euclidean world. Just as the Red Queen used to do in Wonderland. By royal decree, the Euclidean line segments are now whole lines. And then, what a surprise! They can see a line that is not parallel to line L, and yet does not intersect, because it cannot extend beyond the borderline. Somehow similar to the Flatland story. Also notice that Euclid's parallel lines postulate is not fulfilled. So, by royal decree, the disc-shaped area is a new independent world.
I got it. The Boolean symbols they used, minor and major, imply a 3D space postulate. Consequently, the very definition depends on that postulate. They simply cannot ignore it.
That's right. On the other hand, another example of a supposed independent world is that of the sphere. This time, the Red Queen of Wonderland substitutes Euclid's term, straight line, with the generic term, line, and entitles the great circles in the sphere to be the straight lines in this spherical independent world.
I got it. Those spherical lines do not comply with Euclid's postulate that only one line can pass through 2 points, because an infinite number of great circles can pass through the poles.
Yes. And they state that the sum of the angles of this spherical triangle is greater than 180. Measured as if they were Euclidean plane triangles in the 3D space.
My gosh! They supposedly created an independent non-Euclidean world that is curved. However, they used the planar Euclidean angle concept to measure angles there. Where is the so-claimed independence they are so proud of? 3D space, that's where they analyze all their nonsense. That's an insane manipulation.
They pretend to give the false image of extreme rigor, but blatantly ignored the 3D postulate and orchestrated a campaign to generate empathy in people with their theories. This way, they could raise more funds, take money from people's taxes, create institutions, and promote endless research, whose results are to be decided only by a coterie behind closed doors.
Maestro. Talking about other dimensions and money. Do you know what are the dimensions of any credit card? Length, width, and debt.
That joke from yours demonstrates that you are ready to understand the independence of Lobachevsky's hyperbolic geometry. I mean, the manipulation of words and elucubrations, where hyperbolic curves and triangles are treated as Euclidean straight lines and triangles, and the angles in the hyperbolic triangles are measured using the ancient Euclidean angle concept that clearly does not belong to the independent hyperbolic surface. Just the same trash, also completely made in the 3D Cartesian world, but not in their fantastic independent worlds. They pretend to introduce the idea that any straight line path in our 3D space could actually be a curved line, without us even knowing it. And delusionally, imagine expanding their independent surface worlds into independent spaces. Curved spaces with the same inner properties.
Yes. The elite generates massive propaganda to impose the false idea that Einstein brought many significant scientific contributions. They created the commercial image and want us to praise and venerate their business and contribute to maintaining their chaos theories and their authority over vulnerable people.
But take care, Lucas, because they don't want you to see the big picture, nor analyze things, but memorize and focus only on their propaganda. The elite no longer need religions to impose their mandate. Hey, what is all this?
Oh my! I know it! No! You can't
Tell me what's wrong and why you Try to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no, you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, okay, maybe